모든 건 변했다. 히트 시즌2.
And build back up. But you can see that while Protosses were so caught up in getting this expansion out and then getting ready for the drops, Terran just no pun intended, drops altogether. Just writes that off and starts doing these pushes. And we are going to have to see Protosses completely rewrite this matchup if they're going to be able to hold that, because that
they
is
need to change something, right? You know, maybe get some gateways earlier so you can challenge them out on the map. Wow, everybody votes for Rogue, and you know what?
I gotta say, I actually thought it was going to be split. I really thought this was going to be a split vote, because I think normally could definitely win this.
Yeah,
but, man.
Normally, perhaps, but then you see Rogue bop Zest twice, and you're like, well, I don't know, man. herO, he's good, but he's no Zest.
Okay, in the upper right, potential Protoss Slayer, Rogue. The handsomest Protoss on the block, herO. No, tasers exist. We actually had a couple families coming down here today.
Yeah? Bring your kids?
I wish when I was that age that there were games on TV. And it wasn't just like my grandma taking away my Nintendo controller and making me play in the backyard.
Yeah, what's up with that, by the way? I don't want to play outside. I don't want to play video games.
Yeah, I know. Well, my grandma was a newbie, but I mean, you know, it's a different thing. She was from a different time. She's like, you're supposed to be out killing bugs or whatever it is. I'm supposed to be doing
or
it in my
eating bugs or like digging holes or whatever.
Eating bugs.
What do kids do anyway?
Dude, what was your childhood like? Eating bugs and digging holes? Like, Brendan was raised by wolves until 4. Brendan's a partially feral human. It's Saturday, you know what that means, Valdez.
Yep.
Time to dig holes in the backyard.
Find those worms, eat them up.
That's right.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right? You're not gonna find food in the house. So you gotta be self-sustaining, right? I mean, you gotta survive.
Oh, man. Okay, well, we got a pressure build here from herO. I actually did not think he was going to do a build like this. I thought this was kind of like just at the start of Legacy, and it, it wasn't as good. But we're actually having like a lot of matchup changers. I think it's one of the reasons why whenever you're patching an RTS, you got to be careful, because stuff that looks inherently broken, suddenly somebody sees a glitch in the matrix. Somebody sees some exploit, and it's like, oh, I mean, we see this with that Terran push Mario did. I mean, people were not doing that. In fact, when Terrans were doing the build that looked like what Mario was doing, they would go for these drops. They'd come in here and do that drop. In fact, for a second, I thought that's what Mario was going to do, because whenever I think about Mario, I think about his drops all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody sees like some kind of hole, and then the whole matchup starts to change, and then, I mean, PvT may be a totally different beast later on.
I think it definitely will be, you know, because the Protoss has to change how they open. Maybe they can't expand as fast, and then all of a sudden Terrans are, in a really good spot. Whereas before, maybe they were having a lot of trouble because the Protoss could pretty easily get away with getting 2 bases quickly, and then their 3rd base very quickly, and then you just get so far behind.
Okay, I'm curious to see how much damage he can do with these Adepts, because he did not get 2 more Adepts behind this. He's getting 1 Zealot, and that's for the block. And I think from there, we're going to see Protoss immediately start to tech. But let's see, because remember, I mean, Zerg got double bases up here. It's really going to be up to how much damage can these Adepts possibly do. Because the Nexus for Protoss is later. It just now finished up. But it seems like so far so good. I mean, there's really not enough to defend here. And
you essentially have to rely on the Queens, because you see how easily these Lings without speed are getting killed. And now that the Queen comes out, he just switches focus immediately onto the drones.
I think herO just messed up. He didn't actually transfer over to the other base. Or maybe he saw there were no drones there, but that means 1 Adept at least is going to go down.
He wants to keep them together, too, to one-shot these units. And surprised that he didn't shade there.
Yeah, that was weird.
I think that was the moment that you shade.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, there's nothing of value in between the 2 bases. So then from here, he makes an Oracle. Now, it's 23 to 28 with workers, with herO in the lead. And it looks like, okay, so what herO wants to do now is he takes the 3rd base. And then the Oracle, I think in this case, actually has a lot more defensive functionality than offensive, because if Lings try to counterattack, the Oracle just kills everything. Granted, there's a Mothership Core that can help defend too, and I know that eventually, no matter what, he does go out with this Oracle and try to harass with it, but you can see the build's timed out pretty clean. I mean, Protoss basically has like the bare minimum as far as units, like supply invested in attacking stuff. He has the bare minimum necessary to basically hold off anything that Zerg can throw at him. So I actually really dig this build from herO. And the Void Ray is pretty cool as a follow-up as well.
It's going to be good for clearing the skies, getting rid of the Overlords and stuff of that nature. It'll help out against a Roach push if he thought that Rogue was trying to go for something crazy like that. It has a lot of defensive functionality. He's not going to send it across the map and try to kill a base or anything like that. We haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, right.
There was, you know, the Void Ray had its time in the spotlight, but then...
Well, the Void Ray is kind of this, like, weird black sheep Protoss unit, you know?
Yeah, it is
like
pretty weird.
It has these purposes, but it's not like Immortals, for instance. It's like, oh, okay, well, these things are really good. We need to get a lot of these. But it's interesting, because with the Void Ray, you actually can go out and start, like we saw there, take out the Overlords. It has some utility in defense, too. Okay, so he's going to try to sneak in with these Adepts. He may actually cancel the Shade. We'll see. Nope, going to go for it again.
Only Lings, so he can do that. He's got the Oracle over here, too, which means that he could even potentially fight against that Queen. That's exactly what he's going to do here.
Wow, look at this, actually. Now, hold up. Okay, this is actually some pretty good movement here from herO. I think that all us casters have predicted herO to lose this. May be wrong.
He's doing a nice bit of harassment, and he got that third base very fast, too. Needs to get that up and mining now. It looks like he's doing that.
Now, we got Lings headed southbound here. I don't believe there's going to be enough Lings to actually do damage to that third base. But
yeah, not quite.
From here, he's getting Adept Glaives. Looks like he wants to come over here and possibly trigger that pylon, but I think, with the Adepts in the Mothership Core, that's just a bad call. Okay, so this is a good response from Rogue. He takes a fourth base, because there's really not much else he can do.
I mean, he's got his lair. He's going to start opening up some other techs to the Hydralisk Den, the Baneling Nest. This is the Rogue style, right? You go Hydra Baneling, and it's a pretty nice style. It goes very well against pretty much any Protoss composition that you can think of, especially, just the very popular Immortals, Adepts, Stalkers. If they build a lot of sentries, you can mix in some drops too. You can try to drop on top of the sentries.
But this is like a really cool, it's like this kind of Iron Fist approach from the Zerg, right? Like, if you fight me, I have a lot of damage that it explodes a lot more quickly than what the Protoss can do. So regardless of the sophistication of the Protoss army, a lot of times it comes down to the actual positioning of it. And can you pick that fight? And of course, drops add a whole other element. So, guys, we're going into a full-on late-game PvZ here. We see the DTs are going to be incorporated up here. We got upgrades coming out for both sides. Protoss is starting out here in late game with a War Prism Harass. Yeah, these are Adepts. I was going to say, I think these should be Adepts and not Zealots or anything like that.
He has to reposition that War Prism, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's okay. He's getting a lot of damage done here.
And the problem is that, when Zerg is doing this Hydra attack, the lane count is actually pretty sparse, and therefore, sometimes Protoss does not quite have, Zerg does not quite have enough to take this out. You can see, especially with the angling he's putting this at, he's really abusing, the lack of ability that Zerg have here. I think, I gotta say, man, this is looking more and more like a herO game. I mean, the amount of damage herO's doing here, I don't know if Rogue is going to get to the point in the game where he actually shines.
Yeah, this is really rough to deal with, especially once you let the Protoss get 2 Warpins into your main.
Oh, that's so cool. Look at that. He's got a Void Ray over there.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It looks like Rogue will eventually be able to hold this off nice around.
The Hydras have actually gotten over here, so he takes out those Adepts pretty quickly. Now, will that Void Ray be able to take out that hatchery? I'm not totally sure.
DTs this time around, and that's 5. He could snipe the lair. There's no detection over here. He killed that Spore with the Adepts.
Well, look at herO with this pretty sick harass build. I mean, he's just kind of outmaneuvering Rogue. I think that Rogue is almost dead. Well, to be totally honest, we don't see where that. Okay, there it is. He actually gets that.
Not the best position here for the Zerg.
No.
Obviously, I mean, you lose so much tech when you lose that lair. He needs to start a new one now and retake his main.
You can actually see just how hard herO has been focusing on his army and that harass, because his minerals and gas are actually quite high for a bit of that. But that's actually the sign of a good player. That may sound weird because you're always supposed to be spending your money, but he has a good sense of priority. He knows if he loses that War Prism or does anything that's, you know, not totally, if he's not totally on top of that, he can't do the damage. He can spend that money later. And that's a lot of times a sign of a good player. You also see this in battles where one player's not microing as hard, but that's because he's macroing out. He knows when to prioritize that as well. So these are the signs of somebody who really knows what is the most important action to spend at any point in time in the game.
Yeah, and Rogue now trying to come back in this game by sending his Lings out, doing a bit of harass. He still hasn't taken his main again. Sticking on 3 bases for now.
I mean, I'm going to be completely blunt here. I mean, Protoss should not lose from here. This should actually be a very straightforward game. Now, I think if Rogue did retake his main, he might lose to this push. Now, there's a chance he still loses to this push anyways.
That is just so much Protoss. And he's got Blink, too. Really nice concave here with the Hydras, but I don't think it's enough units.
Yeah, well, he's about to cut Zerg in half. You know, whenever you can get in between 2 hatcheries and you're in a fight where you can always win, it screws up the rally points pretty well.
Yeah.
And Zerg can never really take a favorable engagement, and this is kind of that sweet spot right here. Now, the angle here for Zerg is pretty good, but I think, yeah, the sheer number of what Protoss has right now, especially these Stalkers and these Immortals here, the Immortals actually quite well positioned. I don't know if these Hydras are going to do the damage they need to do, and I like how the Stalkers, they blink right in there. We're actually going to see GG, it looks like. And this is going to be 1-1 right now. Nicely done, herO. Taking that game.
Taking off his glasses.
Taking off those glasses, looking like Harry Potter.
Yeah, and
you're a wizard, Harry. You're a wizard, herO. You're a wizard, herO.
And nobody expected this on the caster side of things. Everybody was feeling the Rogue hype train. Well, he's one of the best Pro League players. But herO, everybody, you know, likes to put him down, but he's 15-6, right? That's, you know, we talk about what is a good ratio for playing out here in Korean Starcraft. 15-6 is pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, really nicely done by herO. That is the first step that CJ needs to actually come out with a win here. The odds seem insurmountable. I mean, Jin Air is just so on top of their game, but the first step is there. You know, it's a one step at a time thing, right? You look at the lineup, you know, of the players on Jin Air, and it looks insurmountable, but that was a great build by herO. I actually kind of want to mess around with that at home.
Yeah.
It just seems like if you're faster and better than your opponent, you're pretty much going to win every time. And if you get a few good positions there, you take it. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling about that. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, game number 3 with Jin Air versus CJ.